Morning. So it can be helpful to remember the whole point of coming into practice is that it's a practice. And we don't need more practice with the things we're already habituated in and to. We don't need more practice with the things we're already well practiced at and with. We don't need more practice thinking and managing and directing and comporting ourselves just so. We've learned these skills to some degree, some more, some less. You could say at the expense of knowing who we are. So the invitation, the ongoing invitation and the opportunity while you're here, in and amongst others who are so willing and daring to let go and allow, to wear their light bright without apology, not because of what they're doing or not doing, but just because of who they are. Here's an opportunity for you to let your hair down, as it were, relax your belly, and just be curious about underneath all those things that you've imposed upon yourself with good intention, underneath all those impositions that your body's had to acclimatize to and deal with and accommodate, underneath all of those is you. You can't change one iota of you, capital Y-U. You do not have the authority to change one iota of that. You do have this great capacity to experience that in an infinite number of ways. What if I were to have one hand behind my back? Could I go through the day? What if I were to hold on to, this yoga block and go through the day? What if I were to, do this? What if I were to do that? And these are kind of maybe silly examples, but we impose things on ourselves that we believe are going to get us closer to peace and balance and feeling good and all this stuff that seems elusive. All the while we're busy doing all these things, just the right way, practicing more and more of that. All the while we're busy believing we're moving closer to peace, we're postponing having peace because we're not fully in the moment. We haven't simply dared to pause. And different things come up in our life to give us pause. And the things that come up in our life to give us pause often don't seem like gifts. They can be calamitous at the outset. That's what they might appear to be. But the gift is anything that would give you pause, be grateful and pause, relax the belly and pay a little attention to the things you are, as a consequence of relaxing the belly and dropping into a deeper affinity and alignment with your being and the natural movement of life coming through you as you, being moved, being inspired. What happens? What does that feel like? What information illuminates you, excites you, inspires you, and fills you? And it'll happen as naturally as the next breath. When you're breathing, it's effortless. Your only job is to let go of the breath that's no longer needed. That's it. Exhale. That's the active part. That's your part. And then the inspiration, the next breath, the inspiration, literally, it awaits you. Not somewhere in the future. We can see it in the future, but where do you meet it? Where does it meet you? Right where you are. In the moment, it meets the need. You exhale, you let go and allow. And as soon as you're ready and you open, it rushes in. Right where you are. It meets the need. Life meets the need. The need is met where you are being. Balance is to be found where you are being. Peace is to be found where you are being. Inspiration is to be found where you are being. Before you do anything else, you are. So we understand the words. Be curious about what it feels like. The meaning. What would it feel like to embody this? Not because we lost 5 pounds, not because we did the right yoga practice, but just as a matter of course. No thinking is required. That's not good news for the head. The head doesn't want you to realize that. No thinking is required. No effort is required. It's already you. Remember, you can't change that. So what comes to mind is a little analogy, and this has come up time and again. It's not a new one, but it bears repeating. So just envision yourself right now, envision yourself floating down the river. And let's call it the river of life. And you're just floating down the river, being moved, being buoyantly, abundantly supported as you're being moved. And right next to you is a little leaf floating down the river, also being buoyantly, abundantly supported. Now, there's a difference between you and the leaf. You have far greater capacity than the little leaf. But what we fail to recognize is we have no more authority than the little leaf. This is an important part. You have far greater capacity, but no more authority. We confuse that capacity with authority. Does the wave control the ocean? No, it does not have the authority to. That's not the purpose. It bears repeating so that it might register with us. But since you have greater capacity, you're floating down the river, being buoyantly, abundantly supported, and you decide one day, maybe you saw somebody else doing this. So I can do that. Wouldn't it be fun? I can do something. I can swim. I can tread water. I can do stuff of my own volition. Of my own volition, I can do stuff. Okay? And because you can, you start to swim, you start to tread water, you start doing things of your own volition. And as soon as you start doing anything of your own volition, suddenly you're contending with the very thing that's supporting you, the river. You're contending with it. And because you're contending with it, you no longer feel supported by it. You're still in the river. That hasn't changed. You're still being supported by the river. That hasn't changed. But you no longer experience yourself being supported. Why? Because you are actively doing things of your own volition, divorced from, trying to divorce yourself from the movement of the creative life force. So you're swimming, you're treading water. But because you no longer suddenly feel yourself being supported, that's surprising, it's unexpected. And your head says, well, Todd, when you were upstream, just a short while ago, when you were upstream, you were feeling supported there, better get back upstream. So you start trying to navigate back upstream. Trying to what? Be somewhere you are not. You're trying to get somewhere else, believing that's going to be the place. All the while you're trying to get somewhere else, you're not where you are, you're busy, you're contending. So being supported, but not experiencing the support that's being proffered, that you're in, you're mired in it, you're not separate from it in any way. Getting upstream doesn't seem to work, so you try downstream. And then you try changing your stroke, and you try, bless you, and you try all different things. Maybe if I lose 5 pounds, maybe if I work harder, maybe if I change my job, maybe if I move. And we try all sorts of things. All the while still contending with what? The river. You see? So the remedy is very simple. The remedy is stop, pause, interrupt the doing. But the head has you convinced, whatever you do not stop your swimming and treading water. Do not stop what you're doing because you're in deep water and you might drown. Your head has you convinced you're not being supported, so don't stop what you're doing. You keep trying to support yourself. Get better at it. This is life. This is what we wind up believing. And we pay the price. We pay the price. We pay the toll. We seem to age. We get tired. Things start not working as well. And we try harder. And if we simply stop, despite what the head has you convinced of, if you just stop, let go and allow, suddenly, instantaneously, you'd be buoyed up. And once again, experience yourself being buoyantly, abundantly supported by the river, the very thing you cannot divorce yourself from, even if you think you're divorced from it. You're not. So the invitation is stop, pause while you're here. Even if it has to look like Shavasana, the whole class. That might be perfect. The breath will still come, the breath will still go. Sometimes we have to realize that from the Chicken Little perspective, the sky's falling. But if you shift out of that perspective and drop into your heart, that deeper affinity and alignment with your being, the oceanness of you, the isness of you starts to register with you. And you feel yourself being supported. And you feel yourself connected. And you feel yourself communing, in communion with. That's the at oneness, the atonement, at one with. This is what it speaks to. And the question is simply, as they say in the Course in Miracles, it's not a question of will it happen. The question is, when are you going to simply open yourself up to allowing it to happen, to receive? Why postpone the inevitable, not doom and gloom, but the inevitable yumminess, the peace, the balance. Why continue to postpone that which you can have right now? What is it that you're making more important? What are the things you continue to hold on to? And in holding on to them, you keep them alive. You keep them real in your life experience by you holding them. You see, if I'm holding on to this yoga block, it's with me. And I have to make accommodation for it. I could go through the whole class holding this yoga block, and I have the capacity to do that, but I would have to make accommodation for it. I could put my keys in my pocket. I could hold on to them that way. Right? I could go through the whole class, but I'd have to make accommodation for having keys in my pocket. But here's the thing we forget. Maybe I've been holding on to this block for 40 years, 50 years, but as soon as I let go of this block, the block can't stay. The block's not holding me, I'm holding it. The block can't stay. The block can't stay if I let go and allow. But how do you let go of something you don't even know you're holding on to? That's the conundrum. How do you let go of something you don't even know you're holding on to? This is the thing, one of the things my guides asked me years ago. How do you let go of something? Because for me, this is when the last studio, Sacred Onion, we had an original tagline of the Sacred Onion. It was a very cute tagline. It was a place to peel your layers. Cute tagline, Sacred Onion, peel your layers. And it seems like it works on many levels. But after some months, my guide said, have a look at what you're really energizing with that tagline, a place to peel your layers. He said, look what's really happening. What happens if you run out of layers to peel? You're out of business. So what happens is you're focused over here, peeling a layer, and your attention is not over there. You're creating another layer because you don't want to run out of things to do. But that was the tagline. So of course, that was the energy behind it. So that tagline changed that day, and it became, finding peace, finding space where you are. Without peeling layers, just finding peace, finding space. It doesn't matter how many layers you have, 100 layers, 1,000 layers, doesn't matter. Underneath all those layers, there's peace. And if you just connect to the place of peace, all those layers aren't energized anymore. And if they're not energized, that means what? You're letting go of them, and they appear to disappear. So you don't need to busy yourself peeling layers. You don't need to busy yourself worrying about the boundaries. Am I setting up enough boundaries? What kind of boundaries? I need boundaries. If you just wear your light nice and bright, boundaries are superfluous. They're irrelevant. Why? Because when you wear your light bright, you create a field of light around you, not because you're doing it, that's the way of being. And when you create a field of light around you, it acts like a shield. The only thing that can come into the field of light, see, where there's light, there can be no darkness. The only thing that can come into a field of light is more light. Nothing you need to defend yourself against. No boundaries are needed. So we're saying the same thing in different ways, but it's helpful to hear it so we begin to go, oh yeah. And then be a little more daring in letting go. So again, I was starting to make my practice about routing out holding, because it became abundantly clear to me that holding was not the way to go. Right? Let go, allow, receive, and have. Nowhere in that is holding. So it's a slippery slope, because it's very easy to suddenly give yourself more to do. Let me route out all the holding, and then I'll confront the holding, and I'll come up with a way to overcome it. That's endless. So again, I was reminded something very simple, very fundamental, more good news, the way your body's designed. When you yield into what's supporting you, not doing it, not managing it, not directing it, when you yield into the fundamental support, the river of life, when you let go and allow, when you yield into what's supporting you, your body feels supported buoyantly, abundantly. And when your body feels buoyantly supported, Your body lets go. Even the things you don't even know you're holding on to, your body lets go. So that's how you let go of things you don't even know you're holding on to. By what? By daring to yield into what's supporting you. So your practice here, for instance, is instead of following the protocol, instead of following what your head tells you to do, be aware of that, let it be a source of amusement, and then dare to practice something a little different, like shift your weight. What happens if I shift my weight over here? Do I have more support? Or do I have to support myself more? Feel the difference. Get good at discerning the difference so that you can interrupt the habit of supporting yourself. And that'll happen naturally, because as soon as it becomes obvious to you, when I move this way, I have more support. When I move a different way, I have to support myself. As soon as that becomes clear, you're going to make the choice, the clear choice for having more support without having to direct it. It's simply because it's the most natural way, most organic way of being in your body. So these are the innate skills we are coming back to, reawakening, the lines of energy, your connectedness to the isness of you, your being. Relax your belly, give your belly a rest. Give your belly a rest. And, you know, I see people all the time that resist the invitation, postpone the peace. And they might postpone it till their last breath. I've been with people when they've taken their last breath, and something can shift. Something always shifts. But you don't need to wait till your last breath. You can let go now. You can let go now. Relax your eyes, that'll help. It'll signal to your body it's okay to let go, it's safe to let go, simply by relaxing your eyes. And you can close your mouth gently, relax your jaw, let your tongue relax off the roof of your mouth. This will help interrupt the fight or flight physiology, supporting your innate physiology of peace to just be the way of being, natural way of being. Be curious about this. What would it feel like to be breathed? What would it feel like to be breathed? Not even having to do your own breath. What would that feel like? So for the next few breaths, just for fun, we'll play a little bit with some breathing this morning. For the next few breaths, slow down your exhale and just stretch out your exhale a little bit. So each of the next few exhales, let them be a little longer than the previous one. It doesn't have to be excessive, but each exhale, slow it down, smooth it out. You don't have to match that energy that's going by. It comes, it goes. It comes, it goes. If anything, you can, from that place of peace, you can send some peace out to whomever that vehicle is going out to assist. Because obviously that person is not in their peace. Send them some peace. Send them some peace. As you share peace, you get to have it. See, when you dare to be the place where peace comes into the world through you, it comes right through you and it fills you. And you get to have it as you're wearing it, as you're daring it, as you're sharing it, you get to have it. That's the way it works. So long, smooth exhales. Long, smooth exhales. And then let's follow that with long, smooth inhales. So breath all the way out, breath all the way in. Smooth, long breath. Maybe a brief pause at the top, maybe a brief pause at the bottom, so no need to rush. Smooth, long breath. All the way in, all the way out. And as your breath is coming in and as the breath is going out, can you discern any difference in the volume of breath through the two nostrils? Is there more breath moving through one nostril or the other? Maybe there's a discernible difference, maybe there's not. So don't change anything, just feel. And is it different on the inhale than the exhale, or is it the same? One of the tools your body has to use at its disposal to help maintain homeostasis, physiological balance in your body, is shifting this throughout the day. Some of the time during the day, you have more breath coming through this nostril. Some of the time during the day is going through the other nostril more. It's part of the natural rhythm. It's one of the basic reasons it's helpful to breathe through your nose only. Then your body moves into homeostasis, into balance. And you avoid the fight or flight physiology. Okay, now without using your fingers, without using your hands, without contorting your face, start to invite more and more breath to come in and out of the left nostril only. So long, smooth breaths in, long, smooth breaths out. More and more on the left side. Worry less and less about what is or is not happening on the right side. Just with your intention, invite more and more breath to come in and out of the left side only. Okay, interrupt that. Interrupt that. Allow the breath to just come and go as it will. So still breathe through the nose, but relax the belly. Let the breath just happen. See if you feel any difference in the breath. Any difference in the pauses. Right? And then let's try the other nostril. So again, come back to long, smooth breaths all the way in, long, smooth breaths all the way out. In and out of the right side only, without using your fingers or hands, without contorting your face. Right side, feel the difference. Few of those. Okay, interrupt what you're doing. Let the breath just happen. Feel the contrast. Let the breath just happen. Mouth is closed, jaws relaxed. Tongue is off the roof of the mouth. Breath just comes, breath just goes. Sometimes there's pauses. And we're going to play with one other breathing little pranayama technique that I find really helpful to interrupt holding patterns, breathing patterns that may even be unconscious. So for the next few breaths, for the next handful of breaths or so, slow down your exhale like we were doing. Slow down your exhale. Pause when you get to what feels like the bottom, briefly. And when you're ready to proceed, continue exhaling, even though it felt like you were at the bottom. Continue exhaling even more, all the way down to the bottom. Pause again. And then, when you're ready, let go, allow, let the inspiration rush in. And it rushes in like a wave, and you're swept back to pause. Hang out in the pause. And resist the temptation to keep inhaling. Just pause right where the breath stops. Hang out in the pause. Interrupt any obvious holding places, like the belly. And then when you're ready, just repeat that. So smooth, long breath out till you get to what feels like the bottom. Pause briefly. And when you're ready, then continue exhaling even more, all the way down to the bottom. When you're ready, get out of the way. Let go, allow. Let the breath rush in and carry you right back to pause. So 5 or 6 of those. Okay, we're going to add a little piece here. So for the next few breaths, your job, the main job, is simply hang out in the pause, feeling, listening inwardly. Some of the time, from the pause, some of the time you're going to be moved to exhale, like we've been doing. So in that case, the breath starts to move out. So continue exhaling all the way out like you were doing. Get to the bottom, let go, allow, and come right back to pause. Other times, here's the new piece. From the pause place, you're going to be moved to inhale. In which case, you're going to, in breath, you're going to breathe in, let the breath come in as much as possible, fill up with breath, and then let go, and you come right back to pause. So again, mostly hang out in the pause, feeling, listening. Don't decide if you're going to inhale or exhale next. Feel which way the breath would go, all on its own. And whichever the way the breath starts to go that direction, whether it's in or out, and then let it bring you right back to pause. So your job is feel, listen, and let the movement happen. So how do you feel, listen without directing? This is a big deal. Get out of the way sufficiently to feel the movement happen. Okay, when you're ready, just interrupt what you've imposed and feel the inevitable and immediate consequence of you getting out of the way. Feel your breath. Feel your innate breath, your natural breath. Feel yourself being breathed without you intervening. Let that feeling register with you. This is a big deal. This is you floating down the river, allowing, welcoming, inviting, open. Okay, we'll make a little sound and then we'll proceed. So let's, this morning, let's play with the sound I like for, let's come back to that third layer of the body where it's around the solar plexus is where the arms, the legs, the neck energetically all originate. And it's that humming the letter M, 3 or 4 long exhales, any pitch, tone, any volume. When you're ready, big breath in. Now, the big job for you is not abandoning this feeling connection, your feeling connected place, not by holding anything, but by keeping some of your attention where it's happening. So you're more able to better feel the movement, to feel the shape, to feel the movement, to feel the shape, to be aware of that which is being supported, or where's support happening. And then invite space in, invite your light to just be bright. Even if it looks like this, even if it looks like that. And then notice how easily we would abandon that out of habit to pursue something that promises to give us the same thing we just abandoned. You see how silly it is? Don't abandon what you have for a false promise of something that will be delivered when you can just stay with the having place. Stay with the having. It's a way of being that does not require thinking, does not require doing, does not require effort, does not require managing. All the things we are familiar with. So just beyond familiar, just beyond the belief, just beyond the disbelief, just beyond the certainty, just beyond the conviction, something else is happening, and it's not out there. Be curious about it. So when you're ready to proceed, let's go ahead and wiggle the fingers and toes and give yourself a minute or so just to gently start moving around in your body. Just to wake up, say hello to your toes, your ankles, your feet, your fingers. Just a gentle little movement thing. Just a gentle little movement thing. Gentle little movement thing, and then when you're ready, we're going to organize your mat. Organize your mat so it starts at a wall and extends away from the wall. Starts at a wall and extends away from the wall. And I'd like your mat to be some distance from the wall. I'd like your mat to be some distance from the wall, and here's how you can kind of roughly estimate where it needs to be. When and if you're on your hands and knees, and you're far enough from the wall to extend one leg back and put your foot on the wall. So you're on your hands and knees, one foot goes back on the wall. I'd like your mat to be organized so that if you were to walk your hands forward, to start to feel into a straight line, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips. If you were to do that, you still have some mat for your hands because the floor is slippy. So, especially those of you who are taller, you're going to have to start with your mat a little bit from the wall, more or less. So organize that. And if the mat turns out to still be slippy for your hands, you can always just, when we get there, you can just grab the mat with your hands, right? Or plant your hands on the mat, or depending on your shoulders, you could always use blocks which tend to stick on the mat if you put a little weight on them. And you could use the blocks. You could use the heel of the block, the heel of your palm on the heel of the block, and you could organize, that if you like. So just be careful with your wrist. So once you've got the mat organized, then organize your own distance. Organize your own distance from the wall. So you can put a foot back and touch the wall. You can put a foot back and touch the wall. Organize that. So your leg distance from the wall. And then you've got one foot on the wall. Look down at the knee that's on the floor. Hands are somewhere on the mat. Look at the knee on the floor. Curl that toe, all the toes under it. Scooch the floor knee. Scooch the floor knee away from the wall until it's roughly the same distance of the wall that your belly button is. So you want to scooch the knee a little, the bottom knee, a little further away from the wall so it's roughly even with your belly button. Right? And then go ahead and peel the heel off the wall, bring both knees down. Let your knees be a comfortable width apart, hip to shoulder width, and just shift your hips back and forth. Just a little bit. And go, let's just go slowly to begin with. Move your hips all the way, let's say to the right. Don't let the left knee come off the mat or the blanket. So keep reaching to the right hip and let the left knee just have no weight on it at all. Reach to the left knee. Don't let it lift off the mat completely. Let the right hips go right, and then bring your right ribs to the right, bow a little bit. Where is more weight on the left hand or the right hand? Just notice that. And then slowly, slowly bring your hips back to center. When they come to center, gently wiggle, waggle, ziggle, zaggle, back and forth very lightly a few times, and then slowly bring your hips to the left. Left, 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 slowly. Don't let the right knee lift up. Don't let it reach to the right knee. Don't let it come up. Hips go left, and you can bow out your waist, your ribs, your side. Notice if there's any difference on this side than the other side. Which arm has more weight? Just notice that. And then slowly come on back to center. And then zero in on center. Wiggle, waggle, ziggle, zaggle, gently jostle. Okay, let the jostling subside. Wag your ankles. Let the calves jiggle. The calves jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. And then stop the calves. Okay, look down at between your hands. Let's shift your weight on the one arm. Peel the other hand off the floor. Spread the fingers super wide and peel the fingers down, the palm down. And then shift your weight onto that hand. Bring the other hand up. Spread the fingers out super wide. Peel the fingers down. Peel the palm down. And then just shift your weight onto one arm. Shift your weight on the other arm. Elbows straight. And then find center. Find center. Equal weight on both hands. So now let's do this. Push the hands down. Lift your heart. Push the feet down. Hover your knees. So just a couple breaths here. You're pushing hands down, lifting heart. So we're sending energy through the body. And with your knees hovering, move your hips back a little bit toward the wall, behind your knees. And then move your hips forward until they're right above your knees. And then set the knees down. All right, let's go ahead and bring your elbows down on the floor. Elbows. And for good measure, pivot on your elbows. Wrap your fingers around the opposite arm. So elbows shoulder width apart. Bounce on your elbows a little bit. And then stop the bouncing. Pivot on the elbows, let the palms face the sky, way out in front of you, so forearms parallel. Feel how you're on the outside edge of the elbow bone, you're on the top of the forearm. Look at your hands, spread the palms wide. Now turn your palms to the floor and float your elbows. Float your elbows. Okay, so your hands are now farther forward than your shoulders, right? Further from the wall than your shoulders. Now feel, don't look, but feel where your knees are. Feel where your hips are relative to your knees. And bring your hips right above your knees. So your thighs feel vertical. And now move your hips behind and toward the wall. Move your hips toward the wall more than your knees. Feel that. Feel that. Stop. And then move your hips forward. Feel when your hips are right above your knees. And then move your hips forward, away from the wall. So they're in front of your knees. Go slow, care for the wrist. Push down with the hand, lift your heart. Keep moving the hips forward until you feel a straight line. Knees, hips, shoulders. Feel for a straight line. Knees, hips, shoulders, lift your heart. Good. And then when you're ready, slowly move your hips back. Let the tailbone lead the way. Let your back be gently sway. Feel when your hips are over your knees. Keep moving the hips back. When your seat starts toward your feet, peel up the heel of the palms, lift the elbows, the armpits, push down with your fingertips. Feel for a straight line, wrist, elbows, shoulders, hips. And let's do a handful of these with the breath. So as you exhale, peel down the fingers, bring your shoulders forward. Palms can stay up or down. Lift your heart. And as you inhale, elbow lead the way, back gently sway. Lift under the arms. Straight line, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips. Exhale, hips coming forward, maybe stretch the mat away through with your hands. Feel for the straight line, lift your heart. Smooth, fluid movement. Inhale, hips go back. Lift under the heel of the palms. Lift under the elbow. Exhale, come on forward. Okay, and then let's find a place where your hips are right above your knees. Organize your knees so they feel good. Your hands so they feel good. Now you can adjust the distance. Your hands are not cement. Right? The knees are not cement. So start where you are, but you can always adjust them. So now, like we did before, let's go ahead and lift the heart, push down to the top of the feet, lift your knees, and then move your hips forward until your knees are straight, like a funny push-up position. Top of the feet down. Right. Now keep your knees hovering, move your hips back and back and back and back and back and back. Maybe you get to the straight line, maybe you don't. Wrist, elbow, shoulders, head. Move your hips forward. Feel for that funny push-up position. Inhale, move your hips back. Exhale, move your hips forward. Inhale, move your hips back. Okay, find where your hips are right above your knees, roughly. Put the knees down. And let's just take a moment and come on into a child's pose. I would vote for try. Maybe put a pillow underneath your belly torso. Maybe just place your head on the edge of a block. And then if your head's on a block, maybe put your arms on either side of your head on the block. So somehow supported child's pose so your body feels supported. And then just empty. Like avail yourself of support. Avail yourself of support without lifting anywhere. Gently jostle. Gently do that. That'll help interrupt holding habits. And then slowly let the jostling subside. Slowly let the jostling subside. Pause. If your head's on a block, push your head down, lightly lift your arms off the box. And then when your hands are on the mat, push down, lift your head. So move the block out of the way. Come on back up, and your hands and knees. Right, let's reassess where we are relative to the wall. Reach one foot back. Let's reach the right foot back. Organize it so the foot is about hip height. Right? Your left knee on the floor is in the left lane. Right? It's about level with your belly button, let's say. And your hands are some distance out in front of you, maybe more, maybe less. So inhale, peel the heel off the wall, look forward. As you exhale, push the mat away from you with your hands. Put the foot on the wall. Push into the wall as you stretch the mat away from you. Maybe peel the toes off the wall. Inhale, peel the heel, look forward. Lift your heart. Exhale, push into the mat. Push it away from you, push into the wall. So energy moving equally in opposite directions. Inhale, peel the heel. Look forward. Exhale, push into the mat, push into the wall. And then stay in that exhale shape. Energy moving equally in opposite directions. If the hands are slippery, you just walk them back to the leg. So stretch the mat with the hands, push into the wall with the foot. And then when you're ready, ease up, peel the heel off the wall, bring both knees down, shift your weight back and forth. Come on your elbows, on your forearms. Again, for good measure, pivot on the elbows, wrap the fingers around the opposite arm, bring your palms face up. And then on the top of your forearms, start to plant it on the mat, stretch the mat away from you with the forearms. Shoulders away from the ears, relax the neck, maybe the head. Relax the belly, let the back be swayed. Stretch the mat away from you with the forearms. Your chin might say no, back and forth very gently a few times before letting go. Stretch the mat with the arms. Relax the belly, back gently sway, tailbone toward the sky, so the belly's toward your thighs, kind of thing. And then just slowly empty. Feel the consequence, empty. When you're ready, inhale, chin away from the heart, look down. Exhale, push into the mat with your arm, lift your heart. Inhale, drop your heart. Exhale, push into the mat, lift your heart. Keep your heart high. Look at your hands, palms to the sky, then bring your palms to the floor. Plant the palms, lift your elbows. So organize your hands wherever you like. Shift onto your right knee. Bring your left foot back and back and back and back, all the way to the wall. So heel about hip height. Hands somewhere out there. Either plant them on the mat or blocks, or grab the mat with that on the sides with the hands. So again, inhale, peel the heel, look forward. Exhale, push the mat away from you with your hands, push the foot into the wall. Energy going equally in opposite directions. So a few of those breaths. Inhale, looking forward. Exhale, stretch the mat away from you with your hands, push into the wall with the foot. Try that again. Inhale, long breath. Exhale. Energy moving. Stay in the exhale shape for a few breaths. Push into the wall. Stretch the mat the other way with the feet. Energy moving equally in opposite directions. And then slowly ease up, heel the heel off the wall. Bring the left knee down. Okay. And then let's come on back on your elbows, forearms. For good measure, pivot on the elbows, wrap the fingers around the opposite arm. Bring your palms face up out in front of you, and then turn your palms to face each other. Put the fingertips and thumbs together. The side of the forearm is planted on the mat. Stretch the mat now isometrically wider between your arms. Push the fingers together. Shoulders away from the ears. Relax the neck, hang the head. Stretch the mat wider. Relax the jaw. Stretch the mat wider. Space between the shoulders and the ears. Allow it, invite it, welcome it. And then gently empty. Stay where you are, but empty. Feel the difference. Introduce a tiny little wiggle, waggle, ziggle, zaggle. Just a little bit, and then let that interrupt that. Let it slowly subside. Bones carrying the weight. When you're ready, inhale, chin away from the heart, look down. Exhale, push it in the arm, lift your heart. Look at your hands again, palms to the sky. Put the palms to the floor and lift your elbows. All right, we're going to spin around. We're going to spin around. And I want you to be arm distance from the wall. Arm distance from the wall. Maybe you need padding for your knees, maybe not. So organize your hands so that it's at least as high as your shoulder. So hand is at least as, just put one hand on the wall, one hand on the, let's put left hand on the floor, right hand on the wall. So maybe your fingers are on the edge of the ledge, somewhere there. Okay, so let's go, inhale, more weight, push into the wall, take the weight off the bottom hand. As you exhale, put more and more weight on the bottom hand. No weight on the wall. Inhale, push into the wall. Exhale, push into the floor. Inhale, wall. Exhale, floor. Try again. Inhale, wall. Exhale, floor. Okay, now keep your weight on the floor hand. Bring your right hand down on the floor. Shift your weight on the right hand. Shift your weight on the left hand. Back to the right hand. Keep your weight on the right hand. Bring your left hand up on the wall. So it's at least as high as that shoulder. And so let's go. Inhale, wall. Exhale, floor. Inhale, wall. Exhale, floor. Inhale, wall. Now keep your weight on the wall. Take the weight off of the bottom hand and bring both hands up on the wall. And then bring your hips toward the wall. Care for the knee. Bring your hips toward the wall. Feel for a straight line. Knees, hips, shoulders. Don't hurt the wrists. Don't hurt the wrists. Your hands might be on the bar or on the edge of the ledge. Okay, so inhale, push into the wall, hips back. Care for the shoulders. Wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips. Exhale, push into the wall. Bring your heart toward the wall. Hips toward the wall. Inhale, push into the wall, hips go back. Exhale, hips coming forward, push into the wall. Let's try it again. Inhale, hips back. Exhale, hips toward the wall. Good. And then one hand into the wall, the other hand on the floor. Bring both hands on the floor. And just rest on your elbows forward. You let your head dangle and just pause. Empty. Relax the belly. Maybe introduce a little jaw swell. And just empty. Empty. Support happen. Support happen. Good. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to spin around. You're going to spin around. When you're ready, you're going to spin around, and then we're going to do a little different variation. So you're going to start some distance from the wall. You're going to start some distance from the wall, and you might end up moving toward the wall more or less. This depends on your anatomy today. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to be curl the toes, right, and then we're going to float the knees. Bring your belly toward your thighs, and the big deal is belly toward the thighs, heart toward the wall. So we're looking for the straight line, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips. And we're going to lean on one foot and bring your free foot up on the wall. Curl the toes under. So what we're doing is looking for heart toward the wall. You want a straight line, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips, all the way to the top heel. Keep the bottom knee bent for now. And if it's easy for you, walk your hands toward the wall and then walk your foot up the wall the same distance. The bottom foot may stay away from the wall and may get to the wall. You may straighten the bottom knee or not ever straighten it. The big deal is heart toward the wall. Reach up with the top heel. So squeeze that knee straight, like you're bringing the knee away from the wall, the top knee. Heart toward the wall. Heart toward the wall. Heart toward the wall. And then when you're ready, just find your way down. Find your way down. You might rest in child's pose. You might rest in Vrajrasana. Just pause for a moment. Relax the belly. Maybe shoulders up, chin up for a moment. So release any tension and relax. Okay, so side two may be completely different for you. So you start some distance from the wall and then feel your way back. Start some distance from the wall, curl the toes, right? Float the knees, belly toward your thighs, heels stay high, and then bring your opposite foot, left foot up. Feel for the straight line, so plant the palms, heart toward the wall, wrist, elbow, shoulders, hips, all the way to the top heel. Reach the top heel up, squeeze the top knee straight. Bottom knee might be bent more or less. Straight line. Notice how different this side is. This way, that way, play around a little bit. Move away from effort. And then when you're ready, come on down. When you're ready, come on down. And again, maybe Vrajrasana, Indian speak Seiza, or maybe child's pose. Just something that gives you contrast, allows you to feel support more easily, more readily, right where you are. Right where you are. Okay, so now I want you to be cognizant, stay connected to your wrists. We don't want to overdo wrists or shoulders for shoulder people. So be careful with those, wrists and shoulders. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple blocks as markers. So we're going to use blocks as markers because we want to figure out how long our legs are. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit, face the wall, put your feet flat on the wall and straighten your legs. And then right where your sit bones are, organize your blocks like they make a line with your sit bones resting on. So your blocks make a line and your legs are straight. Now if you were to be here, facing the wall, legs straight, like Dandasana, if you were to reach your hands up to the sky and make an L shape, if you were to make an L shape, that's the shape we're going to play with, more or less. That's the shape we're going to play with, but what we're going to play with is where the hips are, the hands are going to end up. And where the hands are in space, that's where the hips are going to end up. But whether the hands are up or down, whether the hips are up or down, the legs are the same length. Right? So that's why we just measure the distance. That's why we just measure the distance. So go ahead and spin around. Now, I want you to be careful with your wrists. Be careful with your wrists. Okay, so the head is going to tell you to move your hands. So what we just did a moment ago was hands are further away, heart was toward the wall. Okay? We're doing something different now, and the foot was way up high. So there was a couple differences. Okay, hands were further away, heart was still toward the wall, but foot was up high. So what we're planning on doing now is a little different. So the hips were on that line. You just measured it. Hips are on that line. So your hands, and you could just put the hands on the far edge of the line and give yourself a little extra latitude. But you want your hands to be shoulder width apart, elbows straight so the arm bones carry the weight. Be careful with the wrists. And then you put an imaginary line between your thumbs and put your face on the wall side of your thumbs. Face on the wall side. Don't let your face go past your thumbs. It's going to hurt your wrists and it's untenable. So from this shape, and it might feel a little constrained, and it may not happen today, But from this shape, you lift your heart, curl your toes, float your hips, bring your belly toward your thighs. So that's the big movement. And then you bring one foot up, not all the way up where it was before, but as high as your hips. Bring one foot up and then the other foot up. Right? And bring your heart toward the wall as you straighten your legs. Make that Dandasana shape. Bringing one foot straight up is easier, but it's harder on it's scarier. And it puts a little more weight on your wrist, so careful with the wrist. So you can just hang and try that. Heart toward the wall, may not have the day. Relax the neck, straighten the arms. Just like you're looking at the wall, let the head relax. And you don't have to stay there long. It's a little scary on the bars. You can bend the knees, you can straighten the knees, one leg, other two legs, whatever. And don't overstay your welcome. Be careful with the wrists. Come on down when you're ready. We're just going to turn things upside down a little bit. Just turn things upside down a little bit. And then when you're down, pause. Maybe Vajrasana, maybe the child's pose. Again, you rest the head, rest the arms. Something yummy. Something yummy. Notice if your wrists are speaking to you, you can flick your fingers with your thumbs. Careful with the wrists. Careful with the wrists. Okay, and then let's just do a couple of things. Now again, I don't want to overdo the wrist situation here. But let's just try a couple of things to move us in a certain direction. So the first thing I want to try, and you can do this a couple different ways. Some people find it, in a way, even though it might be, what's the word? Feel more clumsy is one way to say it. Using a block, it may be helpful to use a block, but you don't have to. So either using a block or not. If you're going to use a block, the block is going to be between the feet. So that might feel really awkward, but at least your feet stay together. Right? So the idea is going to be you be knee distance from the wall. Knee distance from the wall. Put your hands on the line. Elbows straight, arm bones carry the weight. And remember, your face is on your side of the thumbs, on your side of the thumbs. And then they're going to be both feet. And don't go on the far side of the thumbs. You want on your side of the thumbs. So the picture might be shoulders above the wrists and then hips above the shoulders. So when you're jumping, what you want to feel for is hips above the shoulders. And if the hips come above the shoulders, if they do, then yes, handstand. If not, then they don't. So maybe you don't get there. Maybe it's just hopping a little bit. Careful with the wrist. Somehow, when I'm over here, my brain goes, there's no wall there, even though there's a bar there. So just envision bringing your hips above your wrist. That may not happen today, but and maybe your feet only go 2 inches off the floor. But it's a good way to warm up. It's a good way to warm up. And because you're knee distance from the wall, if you do get up, you can bend a knee and put one foot on the wall. It's right there. And again, don't overdo this. It's just a way to say hello, move some energy through the hands, through the wrist, turn things upside down. Turn things upside down. So Steve, try to keep one foot, just let one foot touch the wall, and then instead of looking down, just relax your neck and look over at this wall. So you don't need your eyes for support. So one foot on the wall there, and then relax the neck. Yeah. Good. There. Yeah, good. And so then the hard part is that the tendency is that, and the challenge is, okay, how do I go? So let these guys, they're going to fill up their kidneys when you get up there. Okay, and then there's one other way to play. If your wrists still have a little mobility, please don't overdo your wrist. So another option you can play with is, again, knee distance from the wall, and instead of both feet, you reach 1 foot up, but instead of actively pushing from the bottom foot, I want you to focus on the top foot and imagine you've got a friend here, and that imaginary friend is going to, you reach 1 foot up, they're going to take your foot and bring it right to the wall. So you're going to reach the top foot toward the wall. The bottom foot's going to push, but don't focus on the bottom foot. I want you to focus on the top person reaching you toward the wall. Top person reaching you toward the wall. Just try that. So 1 foot comes up, and then reach it toward the wall. Keep it up, and then reach it toward the wall. And again, if you're knee distance from the wall, you just bend your knees. One of those forever. Whew. Careful with your wrists. So you don't need to do a million of those. You can come back. So it's interesting how even if you just do this once in a while, you come back to it, and if you practice yogaing, it just gets easier and easier. So let's give our wrists a break. Just pause for a moment. Maybe Vajrasana, maybe Child's Pose. Careful with your hands. You might want some gentle movement with your hands, or just flick your fingers, or give a little massage. Careful with the wrists. Careful with the wrists. And let's give the wrist a bit of a break. And we'll skip the arm balance part today. Now let's sneak in. Now, Shirshasana don't have to get up on your head. It's not a big deal. But we're going to move in that direction. So if you have a thin mat, I think everyone's mat is good. If you have a thin mat, you can always double your mat. But the idea, I would go just step by step. So remember, we want to be, let's say your mat's at the wall. Let's say the wall is where my feet are. So remember, so what we want to do is knee distance from the wall. And then what we want to do, your knee distance from the wall. So we're going to come on your hands and knees, your knee distance from the wall, so your elbows are there somewhere, right? And then what we want to do is, let's do this. Let's do it this way. This is the way I used to do it. It works really well. So instead of these, because these are going to get in the way anyway, don't use the blocks. Instead, feet on the wall, slide one hand underneath one knee, and mark that spot. So instead of the blocks marking the spot, you've got a hand underneath the knee. So that's right, knee distance from the wall. That's where you want the top of the head. And then you put the hands, place your fingers behind your head, and then bring your elbows toward you and put the forearms on the floor and lift your head. Lift your head. So now you've got your elbows some distance from the wall. You had that spot where your head was down, but now your head is up. You're on your hands and knees. And then unlace the fingers, pivot on the elbows, and bring your elbows close enough together, slide them toward each other so you can wrap the fingers around the opposite arm. That's your support there. Elbows below the shoulders. That's your support. Bounce on the elbows a little bit. Now don't move the elbows closer to the wall. Just pivot on the elbows, palms to the sky. You want to be on the outside of the elbow bone. We were doing this earlier. Right? We did that earlier. And then drop your heart down and then lift your heart up. Keep lifting the heart up. Shoulders toward the ears, no. Shoulders away from the ears. So you got heart to the floor, no. Heart up is yes. Shoulders to the ears, no. Shoulders away from the ears, yes. So choose heart away from the floor, shoulders away from the ears. And then go ahead and lace your fingers. Right? Lace your fingers, move the heel of the palms away from each other. Put the baby pinky finger that's on the bottom on the inside so you can push down with the outside of the hands there. and you're touching the mat all the way from one elbow down the forearm, past the hands, all the way down the other forearm to the other elbow. Shoulders away from the ears, heart away from the floor. And then slowly, when you're ready, top of the head on the floor, slide the back of the head into your hands. Don't lose the shoulders, don't lose the heart. Shoulders away from the ears, heart away from the floor. Curl your toes and lift your knees. So there's weight on the arms, yes. There's weight on the head, yes. And this might be all you do today. You can come on the tippy toes, you can come on the balls of your feet. If it's comfortable, walk your feet in a smidge and try again. Tippy toes, balls of the feet. Don't lose the shoulders, don't lose the heart. Push down with the arms. So little by little, the feet can come towards you. Little by little, the feet can come towards you, which means the hips are going where? Over the shoulders in that direction. Over the shoulders in that direction. And at some point, the feet start to get light on the floor, and you can take the elevator up. Don't jump up with your feet. You could, if you want, take one foot and reach it up, bend the knee and reach the foot toward the wall and lift it and let that imaginary friend lift you up. But don't jump up. Weight on the head, weight on the arms, shoulders away from the ears, kind of thing. And just a few breaths. If it doesn't feel good, please don't do it. When you're ready to come down, come slowly down. Try not to go craning down, slowly down. Use your core. And let's keep the head on the floor little by little until the knees touch down. And then remove your hands and lightly push your head into the floor as you roll onto your forehead. So coming more into a child's pose. Coming more into like a child's pose variation. Maybe a block under your head, whatever's comfortable. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. You can push your forehead onto the mat if it's there. Roll onto your left forehead a little bit. Roll onto your right forehead a little bit. Back to center. If your forehead's resting on the floor, you could have your arms organized. You can put your fingertips on the back of your head. Give your head something to push up into. Just a paper width off the floor. Fingers can push on the head. Head can push into the fingers. So you've got energy moving through the arms, through the neck. And then you can relax, rest. Okay, when you're ready, maybe you have a pillow close by, or a bolster, or a block. Maybe you have a pillow close by, a bolster, or a block. And you might want your mat starting at the wall, but we're going to sit next to the wall, and then care for the people next to you. You're going to pick up your feet, spin around, and then I want you to maybe use your hands and push them out away from you. Scooch your bottom, sit bones right up to the wall, and move inchworm without choking yourself with your shirt. So pillow handy somewhere. Okay, and now when their feet are up on the wall, legs are straight, bend your knees, and then put your elbows somewhere on the floor by your side, and just rest your legs in your hands. So forearms are wedged between the legs and the floor. And you can walk the elbows can go out further or not as far, wherever it's good. And then walk the feet away from each other a little bit so the arms are really wedged in there, and the legs can just really empty. Don't hurt the wrists. Find a place where the legs just really can empty. Belly can empty. Long neck. Gently push the head down, but relax the face. Roll a little bit face to the left, so chin down toward that left shoulder a little bit. And then pushing the head down, inhale, face to the sky. Exhale, pushing head down, roll the face the other way. Chin toward the shoulder a little bit. Pushing head down, inhale, roll the face to the sky. And relax. Okay, we can come back here in a moment. So, inhale, head down, sacrum down. Exhale, tuck your pelvis, start to peel the sacrum. The hips start to lift, the knees start to lift. When the knees get closer to the ceiling than your feet, just walk the feet up a little bit. So you might end up with your feet on a bar, one of the bars. You might end up with your feet between the bars. So as the knees get closer to the ceiling than the feet, walk the feet up a little bit. Walk the feet up a little bit. And you can roll the shoulders underneath you toward each other. So you get up off the neck. You could reach your hands toward the wall and push into the wall. Some of you might want to lace your fingers and straighten your arms or whatnot. So a little shoulder stand variation. So not neck stand, not neck stand. So roll the shoulders underneath you, first one, then the other, so you come up off the neck. You can squeeze the shoulders down, you can push the head down. And then if you want to play a little bit, you can straighten one leg, put the heel on the wall, straighten the other leg, put that heel on the wall, and then reach the soles of the feet toward the wall. And then bend your knees back, first one, then the other. Come to where it's easy. And you can hang out there a little bit more. You may want to come into shoulder stand, like bend your elbows, bring your hands on your hips, and bring your legs up. Away from the wall, you're welcome to play there. You could also bring your feet toward the center of the room and come into plow pose or halasana. Or the feet don't have to come to the floor. So just remember, you've got the wall for your hands, even though it's back there. You could take one leg and bring your foot to the wall and the other foot. So use the wall to support your way down. And just peel down. Use the wall to support your way down. Peel down. Pause when you get there. Have a breath or two or three. Pause when you get there. Find your pillow. Find your pillow. Let your pillow be handy. And put your feet on the wall again. Bend your knees, feet on the wall. Push with your feet. Let your hips take the pillow. And slide the pillow underneath your hips. Or the bolster, or the block. Right up against the wall. And then place your sacrum on top of the pillow. And scoot yourself toward the wall a little bit more. So your sacrum is on the top of the pillow. Sit bones touching the wall. So like it's called Viparita Karani. So you're making like a energetic cascading waterfall down your legs, through your pelvis, through the torso. You can keep your legs straight. You might want to cross your legs. That might feel yummy. You might want to bring your legs into straddle on the wall. Or Baddha Konasana. Depending on your shoulders, you might reach your hands toward the center of the room, arms toward the center of the room. You could rest your forearms on flat blocks. That might feel yummy for your arms. So find something that's going to feel yummy. You can come back to putting the elbows on the floor and resting the legs in the hands. Using your forearms wedged between the legs and the floor. Just walking your feet apart as much as needed. Just find something yummy. Fill up, spill over, and overflow. Fill up, spill over, and overflow. Overflowing is different from leaking. The consequence of holding energetically is leaking. So it'd be like you're trying to fill up a bucket and it's got holes in it. Think of a colander that you strain your pasta in. That doesn't fill up too well. It's not designed for that. So to the extent you're holding, you're leaking, and a lot of us look a lot like colanders, leaking, trying to fill up, feeling empty. But if you abandon holding, those leaks are sealed, and what happens naturally, because life is movement, the life force continues to move, and you're not separate from it, you necessarily fill up. And if you're not holding on, you fill up and spill over and overflow. And as you overflow, you radiate, you glow. We spoke of this earlier. When you radiate and glow, you create a field of light around you. And that it allows you to see things clearly, not in shadow. Clearly, you can behold what's right in front of you, the truth, what's right in front of you. Beyond the concept of right doing and wrong doing, there's a field of light. I'll meet you there, as Rumi invites us. Thanks for being here today, yogaing with all of us. Thanks for those online. Namaste.